Michael. So we talk about voter turnout, which we know is, I think, historically always a bit lower for municipal elections. Add to that COVID-19, the pandemic, and you wonder what it's going to look like. But there's also the issue of faith in our democracy and whether people believe that it'll make a difference.
Absolutely, Sally, and we've already had a controversy in that respect with the challenge when it comes to the opposition parties, saying that the IEC has favoured the ANC in allowing them to open that candidate registration process and extend it perhaps to some extent as well. So controversy around that, but we decided to see how South Africans actually feel about their democratic institutions. So, for example, the courts, elected officials, politicians, all of these people are supposed to protect our democracy and in essence, to give some direction to our democracy. They are the compass of our democracy, but it seems many people don't trust the compass. This is a study that was conducted in the build-up to the 2019 national elections, Sally. The first question they asked, do you agree with the idea that South Africa protects the right to freedom of expression? And take a look at this, Sally. 60% of respondents who identified as pro-ANC said, yes, the country does protect freedom of expression. Those who didn't identify as pro-ANC, a very different response. Just 45% of them agreed with that particular statement. They were also asked, Sally, about the courts. So do the courts treat South Africans fairly and objectively? And again, a very different response when you look at the pro-ANC respondents compared to the not so pro-ANC respondents. 49% of the pro-ANC respondents said yes. Just 35% of the ANC skeptics agreed with that idea. So once again, Sally, we're talking about a 15 percentage point difference in respect to that particular response. Now let's take a look at another statement, which I'm sure South Africans have an opinion on. This statement was, most politicians are corrupt. So how did the pro-ANC South Africans respond? Well, almost 70% said, yep, we agree with that statement, which in itself is quite damning. But those who were not pro-ANC, Sally, almost 80%, so 8 out of 10. So a lot of distrust when it comes to these institutions, Sally, but also a bit of a polarized view where we're seeing ideas really split on the basis of party affiliation and party support, which is not really good when you consider that we're all bound as a democracy by these institutions.
Yeah, and one wonders how, if at all, that will translate to voter turnout come November 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's take a look at two sets of data which might give us a few clues, Sally. First of all, the response to this question, are you unhappy with South Africa's democracy? In other words, the way that our democracy is working. Again, the pro-ANC respondents, almost 60% of them saying they were dissatisfied with the way the country's political system is working. A 20 percentage point difference when you compare it to those respondents who didn't identify with the ANC. So we're talking about 77%. All in all, Sally, it would seem that they aren't particularly interested in politics. That's the one set of data. Now let's take a look at our record when it comes to voter turnout. You mentioned that it isn't particularly good when it comes to municipal elections. Let's take a look at the stats. The highest voter turnout we've ever reached in any election, Sally, over the last 25 years or so, 77% in the 2009 election. 2016, I beg your pardon, 2019, it falls all the way down to 66%, Sally. And as we come back to our wider shot, we'll see the municipal elections as well. 48% in the 2006 local government elections. The trend has been up 57% 5 years later. And in 2016, Sally, just under 60%. Again, turnout is not historically good in local government elections when you compare it to national government elections. And then, Sally, you add into the mix COVID and also a lot of concern about the state of our democracy. You have to wonder, will people stay at home or will they join the queues and cast their ballots?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens on the 1st of November. So many variables at play. Thank you very much, Michael Marillier.